What's up, everyone? You might be wondering why we're back so soon after dropping our latest podcast. Well, that's because an even bigger bombshell got dropped this week. Hervé Poncharal announcing somewhat out of the blue that he will be severing his relationship with Yamaha and moving forward with a new partner. That being said, I'm Kevin, that's Rob, and this is my main man, Buster, and this is BrotoGP Breaking News.
Welcome, everyone. Like Kev said, this is
what
he puts the shades. I love the mid-intro set changes there. That's perfect. All right, like Kev said, this is BrotoGP Breaking News. We're gonna make this one real fast, I promise. All right, we're starting this one off. Number one thing that we're gonna talk about, what we actually know. As Kev already said, Tech3 is severing ties with Yamaha. They are not renewing their contract to race satellite M1s in 2019. That's the first thing. The second thing that we know, yeah, right?
What?
This is, Hervé Poncharal has been working with Yamaha for 20 years. It's a very long-standing relationship. They've been very successful. They had amazing years with Dovizioso, with Cal Crutchlow, with
what you're saying is his rider lineup is long and distinguished, like Mike Johnson.
Yes, that's exactly what we're saying. But it's coming to an end. The reason why it's coming to an end is Hervé Poncharal and the Tech3 team, they were made an offer that they cannot refuse. Those are his words. We have no idea what the offer is. We don't know what it entails, but we're going to speculate. We're going to get to that later in this quick
Here's what we got, guys. We've got, in true Rumsfeld fashion, we've got known knowns, the things that we know. We've got known unknowns, the things that we know we don't know yet. And then we have baseless speculation, i.e. unknown unknowns. Instead of actually going to war and killing millions of people with those unknown unknowns, we're just going to make you laugh.
The third known is that Yamaha does not have a replacement yet for their satellite bikes. So it's very possible that in 2019 we will not see any satellite Yamahas on the grid. It'd be nuts if that happened because those bikes are really top spec, great hardware for someone to get amazing results on, but it could happen. So, all right.
Hardware that has gotten many a rider moving on to factory teams. I mean, you've seen Ben Spies get factory rides. You've seen Dovizioso. You've seen Cal. It's not it's not an Avintia. It's not an Aspar. It's not a road to nowhere. We're talking about a team that routinely was putting riders into factory rides, getting regular podiums. Unless you're in the the fucking Pol Espargaro era, but otherwise getting, pretty regular podiums. So to have them off, not having Yamaha is, I think, a huge loss for Yamaha, and I think they're scattering a little bit on what the hell they're actually going to do.
Moving on, what we think we know. This is going to get more interesting as we go. First thing, the Monster sponsorship for Tech3 is probably gone if they switch to a different factory.
Right, and that different factory, in terms of the things we think we know, is almost assuredly KTM. And there's a variety of reasons we can think about why that is. One, KTM has a massive budget. I've read reports, $250 million they're spending on their MotoGP
for 5 years. For 5 years.
Right. So they have a massive budget. They have a massive outside the industry sponsor in terms of an energy drink, Red Bull. They've expressed interest in Zarco quite specifically, and they've expressed interest in having a satellite team to help bring up younger riders, your Oliveras, your Brad Binders, and whatnot. And the idea that they want to keep an existing rider and then move a new rider up, i.e. Zarco would move to the factory team, and then Tech3 would bring up those riders. It fits perfect. They have sponsors in line. They have riders, lined up. They have the farm system ready to go. It connects to their existing system with Aki Io in Moto2 and Moto3. It seems to be a fit that's too perfect for it to be anything else. It's clearly not going to be Aprilia. It's not going to be Ducati. I'm pretty sure it's not Yamaha because they just fucking told Yamaha to eat shit. So
there's no way it's
obviously
Honda.
What's left. Right, it's no way it's Honda. So what we're really talking about is whether it's Suzuki or whether it's KTM. Some people have speculated Suzuki. Suzuki is smaller budget, had some problems in the past. Brivio has expressed interest in having a satellite team, but they've talked about maybe being a one-rider team. They're not sure. Meanwhile, Red Bull and KTM. I mean, Red Bull, it costs like 8 cents to make a can. They sell that shit for like $9. Red Bull can randomly put dudes in space for like no fucking reason. So they can clearly sponsor Herb and his booger-eating enterprises till the fucking cows come home. So I think without a doubt it's KTM. I think we see Zarco as a factory KTM rider in 2019. I think there's a reason why Herb said specifically he wants Jonas Folger back, which may be that they're moving Miguel Oliveira up. Binder stays in Moto2 to aim for the championship, and then Folger is their known, which is we know what the guy can do. He can get a podium on a really good day. He's a veteran. He has some interest. That's why Herb has said, we want Folger, despite the fact that Folger sort of got a mystery illness and just bailed on a whole year, because they need a measuring stick to measure their other rookies.
Well, and I mean, we've seen interesting things out of Moto2 riders on the KTMs, like even Pole and Bradley being kind of lackluster riders. Lackluster riders. They still have had surprising results on the KTM. I think that's more indicative of the KTM investment into MotoGP. Like Kev already said, they got $250 million over 5 years, which is actually a larger budget than I think all but Honda and Yamaha. What is
Lackluster? Oh, that's a dick too.
I'm surprised you didn't go title Rob sex tape on that one.
Someone made a joke about how the entire last episode was basically Rob trying to stop his 2 kids from making dick jokes, so I had to squeeze a dick joke into this episode.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Right.
All right. The last point of what we think we know is that Rossi is racing in 2019. He's expressed, he's pretty much said that he still feels the fire. Uccio has come out and said that he doesn't think it's time for Rossi to retire. Lots of Lynn Jarvis, has squashed a few rumors from Pernat, but essentially saying that he will be the first to know when Rossi actually signs, but he fully expects him to. So what we think we know is Rossi is racing in 2019. We're not sure on 2019, but we're not sure on 2020, but 2019 is what we're talking about right now.
I think it's obvious that he re-signs. This even makes it more obvious because if there's going to be half as many Yamahas on the grid, they need twice the promotion for the Yamahas they do have, and the guy that gets twice the promotion or more is Valentino. Whether you like it or not, he's insanely famous. He's a sponsor's dream. He's already sponsored by Monster, and the team is. So if Monster will no longer be sponsoring the Tech3 team because they're moving to probably a Red Bull-backed team, you're going to see a larger presence by Monster on the factory squad. Also, my cat George has shown up, so it's not just Buster, but also George. And I think it's obvious that he stays. The money is too good. There goes George right now. The money's too good. It fits too perfect. And with a whole bunch of unknown, not sure what's happening, we don't know if we need standby, and that old standby is Valentino. Look at George just fucking strolling by. It's like super distracting because I can see him walking by. But Valentino staying on the team seems like a no-brainer because when shit gets wild, you got to go back to what you know. It's like when your life gets crazy and all this like that, you stop fucking all the nasty hoes at the club. You call up that girl from high school that was good, bring home to mom status. You know what you got, and it's all good. You call up fucking Stephanie or whatever, and you're good to go.
Not Veronica. Not Veronica.
Not Veronica. You do not call Veronica up. You do not call Veronica when shit hits the fan.
All right, baseless speculation, the wild ass rumors that we wanted to talk about.
I've seen some crazy shit out there. Hold on. Yeah. I've seen some crazy shit, which is who's going to take the Yamaha squad, because obviously Yamaha wanted those bikes on the grid. They were ready to produce them, to have them out there. Is that Aspar is going to make the switch and be a temporary Yamaha ride. Some of the jokes or not jokes, but the comments have been, who would take the Yamahas, because they know that Valentino's team, Sky VR46, is looking to make inroads in, no matter how much they say they don't want to. We know that's inevitability, but who's the king of constantly switching bikes over and over and over again and still somehow getting sponsors and riders? Fucking Aspar. They were on production Hondas. They were on shitty Ducatis. They were on shitty Ducatis before. They were on Aprilias by like Power Electronics. They were on CRTs. Fucking, there's one thing that team can make happen is get sponsors regardless of the bike. I definitely think that if Aspar is looking to make even a temporary switch, you got to trade up. Because right now, having the oldest Ducati on the grid and having Carl lose out to fucking Hafish as a rookie at Thailand is not a good look. They got the worst bikes in the grid next to Avintia with the, you can, even if you can get the Tech3 bikes, Yamahas for 2 years, that's a huge boon for sponsors, for setting things up, for maybe moving on and maybe keeping one of them, maybe turn into a one-rider bike, a one-rider team and getting one Yamaha.
Yeah, so that's one of the other things that we must speculate on because of how contracts in Dorna work. Essentially, everyone is wondering if Rossi is going to bring the VR46 team in next year and start that up early. I think it's not going to happen because he said specifically that he wants to continue racing, or everyone else around him has said that he wants to keep racing. And there's no way that him and Uccio and his small group of Italians can run everything they need to do for Rossi to race, a Moto2 team, and then add a satellite MotoGP team on top of that. It's just not possible.
Right.
So I mean, so here's like Aspar seems like a damn good idea. Here's my entirely unfounded rumor mill of an idea. VR46 is
by unfounded, he means dudes told us on the down low, and it's hella real, but we have to say unfounded.
Yeah, it's not completely made up because we're way more in tune than that. So here's what I want to see. I want to see Yamaha make another factory bike. So I can't remember if they've ever had 3 factory bikes on the grid and then 1 satellite bike at Tech3. I don't think it's happened. So here's what they do. They make 3 factory bikes. Rossi takes one of those factory bikes, starts up VR46, brings over one of his VR46 Academy riders from Moto2 and runs VR46 in 2019, solving all of the problems, right? Uccio doesn't need to go start like a whole nother team. Like Rossi is still included in that. It's not a shit ton of extra work from what they're already doing now. The only one tricky point is that there are no grid spots open. But this is Rossi and Dorna we're fucking talking about, right?
Right. First of all, if Sam Lowe's proved anything, is that contracts don't mean shit. Unless you are literally wiping your butt with them, in which they mean shit. That's about as much as they mean. It's Valentino. He's bigger than the sport. I don't care what anyone says. We only want 24 riders on the grid. Valentino says, I'm bringing a Scott outside the industry sponsor, 2 factory bikes, and Carmelo's going to say, cool, it's going to rubber stamp that shit, and they're going to put him on the grid. I disagree with you a little bit on Valentino moving sideways, because here's why. I stole a dude's comment on Twitter, posted on Facebook like it was my own, because Picasso said great artist steal. But basically, we see that Pramac is going to have Pecco. We see Morbidelli is at Mark VDS. Valentino will be at Yamaha, and then his team's going to move up. Basically, what Valentino is doing is he's following the Wu-Tang mold of bringing people into the forefront. So there's a whole crew, but just because you're having your solo album doesn't mean you're not in the Wu-Tang. Method Man was still in the Wu-Tang even when he released his first album, just like ODB was in the Wu-Tang. So they're basically going to do a Wu-Tang hostile takeover status of MotoGP. And there's no reason to stick Valentino and that guy when that's 2 more riders he can bring up. It's like, if you're on a group with, if you're having a fucking duet with Method Man and Ghostface Killer, you let Redman and RZA and Jizza do their thing on the side. You know what I'm saying? You don't put it too much in one. You only release an album. You only release a super collaboration once every 10 years. And MotoGP is not ready for the super collab yet.
No, they're not ready for sure.
Enter the 46 chambers.
I don't get that one. Sorry. You lost me.
What?
No, you had me all the Wu-Tang stuff before, but no, I missed that one.
I'm fucking texting Knack right now. You don't get Ender the 46 chambers. I fucking hate you so much.
I mean, The other reason why we're talking about, or why I brought up Avintia, they are the most likely team to actually sell their grid spot, even if Dorna and Rossi are made to stick to contracts. They're the poorest team on the grid. They probably have at least one rider paying for their spot in Xavier Simeon. They might finish last, and there was that supposed rule from a few years ago where Dorna said they were actually not going to give full subsidies to the team that finished last. So if they get last place and they get less money, that's really bad for them going on to 2019 and 2020 and actually making it onto the grid. But
right, I mean, right now Avintia is kind of like, they have two things. You know, Tito is a Moto2 champion, but the, you know, sort of running joke is that he bought his slot, and then the other one is that fucking Xavier Simeon is just there because that's who would take the ride. And if we got at this point, we can't just have a team on the grid that's because one guy could pay for it and because one guy would take the ride. That's fucking ridiculous. So let's get a team on there that's actually competitive and then make those guys at the end sort of actually compete for who's going to be there.
And if they sell out to VR46 for next year, it could be a good look for them, right? Because I already said Rossi and Uccio are going to have a really hard time setting up that team in such a short time. So if they buy out Avintia's spot, maybe they also use a bunch of Avintia's crew, some of their resources, and Avintia gets to kind of stay in the paddock for a bit longer, even though they've sold their spot.
Right, and even the sort of lose-lose, they get bought out and they're able to redirect some money towards their Moto3 team. They have a junior Moto3 team in CEV. They may decide that we get more bang for our buck by running the cheaper classes with more investment. You know, Avintia, you know, you get a big investment in crew. You bring your MotoGP crew back down to Moto2, and suddenly you have a better crew with more money. You attract better riders in Moto2 and Moto3, and you have even, you know, technically higher profile for, you know, even though you're not in the major class. I could easily see Avintia selling out and just saying, look, man, we can do more with less, or, you know what I mean? Like, so let's do it.
In the lower classes. And I think that's it. I think that's all we got. So thanks for listening to Breaking News. Like, share, and subscribe. I think I'm gonna put the little globe thing. Wait, where is it? It's gonna go like right here, and then the playlist is gonna go right here. Click on those, please. Tell your friends, and catch us next week for maybe a World Superbike podcast episode.
What? Maybe Josh Herron's gonna sit in and tell us about how he signed. He's running a deal with Rivoli or whatever, fucking Attack. I don't know. He's gonna get on here and tell you.
Yeah, we'll have to call him and see if we can fit him on. I mean, if Johnny Ray does the double, we're going to have a lot of shit to talk about for World Superbike. But all right, everyone, thanks for listening, and peace out.